Greetings everybody and welcome to Madrid Ball. I hope you all are safe and sound. Real Madrid return to action tonight and we have a very familiar opponent that we would be needing to knock out. We would be facing Athletic for the 4th time this season, and honestly speaking we have just faced Athletic too many times this campaign. We played them in December, we played them in January, and now we have another tie, and I think we can say by now we all know exactly what kind of team Athletic are. We know about the threats they possess, we know about the style of play, and of course we very well know what kind of manager Marcelo is, so I don't really think there's a necessity to do an opposition analysis today. Even if I do, I would be sounding like a broken record, rambling the same things over and over again. So what I've decided, in place of that, I speak of some of the burning issues within our very own squad. We do have some concerns about the right back position, and very recently we have suffered a massive blow at left back, which will certainly pose a challenge heading into the ultimate Champions League game against PSG. So in this video we'll discuss some of the news related to our favourite club, then we'll dwell on the pre-match thoughts of Carlo Ancelotti, and lastly we'll end this video by doing the match predictions. So come on, let's get started. And firstly, if we start by talking about the right back situation in Madrid, we have seen some fragility in the department in recent times. I do know many of you have already voiced your opinion on that, but guess what, Marca very recently have also raised the issue at the Spanish capital. In the latest article they have highlighted that Real Madrid are concerned about how things are working at right back, and they say at the end of the season Real Madrid could sit down to analyse the situation, and there is a likelihood that Real Madrid may dip into the market to bring the necessary reinforcement. And talking about why we exactly at this place where we need to discuss this problem is because of the fact that the first choice right back has had some unlucky events which have kept him sidelined for a majority of the past 2 seasons. I was going through the stats to check the games that Carvajal has played in recent years. You can see in the 1920 campaign he played a number of games, but in the subsequent years he could only manage 13 appearances in the 2021 campaign, and in this season up till now he has only played 12, and that of course is a major concern. He got his extension last year which secured his services until 2025, but I think we all can agree at this point there are some questions about what Carvajal can do in the next few months. When Madrid handed Carvajal the contract in May 2021, they were expecting that Carvajal would play at the similar level that he played in the 1920 campaign. As you must remember, a very defensive side went on to lift La Liga that year. Carvajal was an important part of the defense which had conceded a very few goals, and back then it was noticeable that Dani Carvajal had improved as a player. Not just in terms of defending, he had also taken some strides in improving his attacking game. I distinctly remember that he had won us a few penalties attacking on the right, which had helped Madrid edge out the opposition by the slightest of margins, but the issues really started to pile up last year. Zidane could barely count on Carvajal's fitness. He used to get injured on a regular basis, he used to be out for months, then came back to play 1 or 2 games, and again he would be in the treatment room, and undoubtedly these happenings have created a doubt in everyone's mind. Zidane was forced to use Lucas Vasquez more than he would have liked, and though Vasquez had done a good job last year, but this year he hasn't been doing the job very well. We also see that the management is in doubt whether Carvajal can regain the same form he had before, because if you have a look at how Carvajal has played in the limited outings this season, he shows a lack of rhythm, a lack of sharpness, and I think those injuries have forced a drop-off in his overall quality. He hasn't regained the same level he had a few seasons ago, he has looked defensively vulnerable at times, and same goes for Lucas Vasquez, who again has played more games this season than Madrid would have expected. So yes, if Real Madrid continue to be vulnerable in that position, we may have to look the other way. There are some names which have come up in the past. Pedro Porro had been linked to the club, but in recent times we haven't seen any news that Real Madrid would be making a move for him. The other option which many of you have suggested is bringing back Achraf Hakimi. It is going to be a very difficult operation getting him back from PSG. We know the relationship between the two clubs is not particularly cordial at the moment, and you would expect the tempers to be flaring when Mbappe joins Madrid for free in the summer. So definitely I don't see Hakimi coming back in the next 2 years. PSG see Hakimi as a very important player in the team, and Madrid won't be giving away an extravagant transfer fee for a right back. So let's wait and watch if other names get linked to Real Madrid in the upcoming months, and in the meanwhile I would be interested to know if you have been tracking any right back who in your opinion would be perfect to take over from Dani Carvajal. But coming to the other side of the pitch, Madrid have dealt a major blow as Ferland Mendy has picked up a very untimely injury. The reports state that Mendy has injured a muscle in his abductor, and at this point it is very likely that Mendy would miss the matches against Villarreal, Granada, and potentially the first leg against PSG. Ancelotti would be anxiously waiting to see if Mendy would make it for the all-important clash cash. But even if he makes it on time, Real Madrid are concerned if Mendy would have the appropriate fitness level to be risked in such a high-profile game against PSG. And that definitely is not the kind of news we wanted. We needed our defenders to be at the absolute best to contain the threat of the front three that PSG possess. And without Mendy, it's undeniably going to be a massive task. We could potentially use Nacho in that position, or we could use Alaba at left back and use Nacho as a centre back. However, I do have my doubts if Ancelotti would be willing to break up the pair of Alaba and Militao. So Ancelotti has lost a very important player, and we don't currently have a player who has the similar defensive qualities of Mendy. Marcelo can do the attacking bit, however, his input in defense is very much questionable, and that brings us to the next question, that who would Real Madrid turn to in the transfer market to fill the potential void that would be left with Marcelo at the end of the season. There are some suggestions that this is going to be Marcelo's last year at Madrid, and if we are to believe the latest gossip in the market, Real Madrid are apparently looking to re-sign the Spanish international Sergio Reguilon. According to ABC Deportes, Real Madrid have the option of triggering the 40 million release clause of Sergio Reguilon, which would be expiring this summer. So as you see, the Los Blancos have to act quickly if they want to get their former player back. He was very much fancied by Lopetegui when he was at Madrid, but then he went to Sevilla. He took a stride forward in his career, I believe. He was instrumental in Sevilla winning the Europa League, and then of course Real Madrid opted to sell him to Tottenham in 2020. So it could be an interesting move if Reguilon comes back to the team. We do need some backup there, and it would also be nice to have someone who would provide positive competition to follow Mendy. So let's see if Real Madrid follow up on their plan to bring Reguilon back to the Spanish capital, or would we be seeing many more names linked to that position? Only time shall reveal that. Moving on, let's hear what Ancelotti had to say ahead of the game against Athletic. He spoke about the fitness level of players who had gone away on international duty, but firstly, while previewing the match, Ancelotti said, "It's a very important game for us. It's the quarterfinals of a competition that we're really excited about. It's going to be a very difficult game, a fantastic atmosphere at the San Mamés against a strong opposition, and we'll have to be at our very best. We've played against Athletic a lot this season, and we've done well in every game. There have been very close games, but of course, you have to be at your best to win at the San Mamés." Then Ancelotti spoke about the fitness level of Rodrigo and Casemiro. He said, "We'll have to assess the players who are coming back and have been playing. Casemiro didn't play and Rodrigo only played a little bit. That's something we'll have to look at today. If they're just a bit tired, they could travel, as we might need them for a few minutes in the second half or in extra time if it does go that way." And lastly, Ancelotti spoke about how he's going to deal with the absence of Ferland Mendy, and the coach said, "We have two options, either play Alaba or Nacho at left back. Having Marcelo suspended means we have one less option. I know which of the two I'm going to use there, but I won't tell you. The evaluation doesn't depend on whether Nico Williams or Berenguer play. It's more about what we want to do on the left-hand side. Nacho is more defensive and less used to that position. We could go more defensive to stop Nico Williams, but Alaba gives us more with the ball." So that concludes the pre-match thoughts of Carlo Ancelotti, and let's conclude this video by doing the match predictions. In goal, we would be having Thibaut Courtois. In defense, the back four of Militao, Alaba, Nacho and Dani Carvajal is very much likely to start. The only question here is whether we'll see Alaba at left back, or will Ancelotti refrain from breaking the duo of Alaba and Militao. In the midfield, it would be interesting to see if Casemiro is used alongside Modric and Kroos, but since Casemiro is likely to have the travel fatigue, we may be seeing Camavinga playing the defensive midfield role. It would be another great chance for the youngster to showcase his qualities, but last but not the least, there are some questions regarding the attack that we may be seeing in the game. Vinicius played in the game against Paraguay recently, so it is likely that he may not be ready for the game. In that case, I predict the trio of Hazard, Jovic and Gareth Bale, who would be spearheading the attack for Madrid. So that, as you see, is my predicted lineup, and as for the scoreline predictions, I predict Real Madrid 2, Athletic 1. And that is all I have here. Do let me know what are your thoughts ahead of the game, and what scoreline are you predicting right in the comments below. I'll see you soon. Till then, take care, glory to Madrid, and as always, a la Madrid.